Good evening, guys. Today is a very special video. We're here with my good friend Paul Thompson, known as Timepiece Crazy on Instagram. He's an absolute baller of a dealer here in Dubai. We've got millions of dollars in watches in this golden box in front of us, but we're going to be knowing a bit more about Paul, his history, what made him get into watches, and we're going to take you guys through everything he knows about watches, and then we're going to go through what's inside the box. So welcome today, Paul.
Yeah, thank you for having me, bro.
Very, very excited to have you on the channel. I have I've written a few questions to ask you, mainly what the viewers would want to know about you and your history with watches.
Great.
But to start off with, introduce yourself. Let us know about your history, your background, where you're from, and what made you get to Dubai in the first place.
So I'm Paul. I currently run an Instagram page called Timepiece Crazy. I live in Dubai. I'm 28 years old, and I professionally sell watches for a living. So I guess that entails sourcing watches, keeping watches in stock, and yeah, mainly dealing with like the retail clients. And obviously you're here in the Dubai showroom today at Platinum Times.
It's a brand new showroom, guys.
We've just moved in, so
you guys were on level 20?
We were on the 20th floor. We moved down to the 17th. We've got a better, more expansive.
I think I like the space a bit more. It's very well architecturally designed.
Yeah, organized, much nicer, to be honest. And I think, you know, I'm looking forward to the grand opening, which I'm thinking about 1 or 2 weeks we'll be ready to go. So
beautiful.
Yeah.
We don't have AC at the moment.
AC.
We'll take off our jackets as we get into the interview more, but for now, it's all good. So one of my first questions is, what made you get into watches in the first place?
It's an interesting history, honestly, because so I started about 5 years ago. I didn't come to Dubai to sell watches. I'm by trade, or I guess my qualification is actually in physiotherapy. So quite the transition.
That's the first one.
Yeah.
From physiotherapy to being a watch dealer.
And do you know what? Like, I remember even like coming over here and giving it a go. So that's the reason for moving to Dubai was to practice physiotherapy. And interestingly enough, it was harder to break into physiotherapy as it was for me to break into watch dealing. So I've got quite the I would say I've got a background in watches. I've always liked watches. I grew up liking watches, and I've got a very close friend who's in the watch industry, and he brought me along at the start, showed me like the tricks of the trade. And then it was just kind of like, look, actually, you're going to work with me, but you're going to do this by yourself. And I had to go and figure it out.
And did you introduce yourself as a physiotherapist, or did you say, look, I want to, you know, kind of put what I'm doing on hold and kind of get into the watch market? How was the transition? Or did you work in physiotherapy in the UAE, or did you just come straight into watches?
I think, so I realized by getting into physiotherapy, although this is quite a boring story, it's like, I think it was like, okay, this is not going to happen. I'll try personal training. So I tried personal training, and I just didn't have it. It was just like, it wasn't a real passion of mine to go and train people at their home or train someone in a gym. Like, credit to those who are successful in training, wasn't for me.
I think people just need to, you have to go through all those experiences to kind of know your purpose and what you want.
Exactly, and I was
23
at the time.
Still very young.
And, you know, but I think there's a sense of urgency. I come here to Dubai, a lot of my friends are successful.
It's a place to be.
Yeah, it is for sure.
It is, yeah.
And like, yeah, if I think back to being a 23, and I just thought, oh, like, I need to make a decision quick, and I need to find out how I'm gonna make a living. And I found watches, and I remember like just like going back to my first deal. One of my first deals was it was a Rolex Hulk, and it was like I didn't buy it. I had no money at the time, and I had to go like. Someone trusted me to give me the Rolex, leave it with me, and I had to go and sell it. I remember I made a profit from it. I eventually then had enough money to go and buy a watch to flip myself, and the profit that I had made in that watch, you know, to buy my first real watch to sell, it was lost almost right away because the market would just fluctuate
up and
like
down.
this.
Yes, yeah.
So I went to go and sell it to another, and this is quite common in watch dealing, is dealers deal with other dealers. You can't have all the clients in the world. So, and at the time I had no clients, so I'm just starting off
Just
and
straight hustling.
straight hustling. Yeah, you're on
Yeah.
the streets with your
Takes a
backpack.
bit longer to hold your pieces. I think nowadays, I think a piece wouldn't stay with you
No,
very long, right? With the clientele that you have in
for
today's
sure.
market.
No, and you know, it's took some time, and don't get me wrong, I've probably had a faster like development than probably most people, and I think that comes down to work ethic and putting my name out there, the power of social
sure.
media.
Social medias, we'll get into that
Yeah.
later in the video. Look, give us something that would be, the most challenging part of being a watch dealer in today's market, comparing to what it was a few years ago.
Okay.
I mean, the watch market now is
It's different.
I feel like there's a lot of watch dealer. You look to your left, you've got a watch dealer. You look to your right, there's a watch dealer. I think what is the most challenging part about being a dealer and what makes you unique?
Okay. A very challenging part of being a watch dealer is the fluctuating market. So, buying inventory, we'll go into it. I've got a lot of inventory here, which was a very good price 3 months ago. And not necessarily is it like the cheapest on the market now. So you're competing with other dealers who also have just bought fresh inventory. They've just received it this week. You're competing with their price, and you've bought it 3 months ago.
Okay.
So there's a lot of competition, like you said.
It is big market.
And and then the reason someone might deal with me is because of what I offer and the service I provide. Maybe they, in some cases they save money, and in some cases you spend a little bit more money, but you have a lot of trust.
I think I can. We've had this conversation before. I think in today's market, because the industry is so big, people, well, in my opinion, I think it comes down to the service we receive. The support, the friendship.
Yeah.
It's not just about business, kind of
Yeah,
paying something. Some people would prefer to spend that extra $500, $1,000 on a watch, knowing that, let's say, for example, the watch is real. There's a lot of replicas and a lot of clones out there in today's market.
Yeah.
Knowing that you're dealing with the right people, if there's any issues, you can refer back to them. So I think, for me personally, I would pay an extra $1,000 on a watch to kind of sleep at night, knowing that my watch is coming from a good source and a trusted source.
It's so important because in so many cases, and I've had to experience it myself, you have so many sources for your watches, and in some cases, things go wrong with your watches, as they do with your cars or
Of course.
anything.
Everything.
And so, like, you have to take responsibility, and a lot of dealers, they'll go missing when, excuse my language, but when it hits the fan. But yeah, like taking responsibility and standing on for your deal, regardless of the price. But you need to be there for your clients, and that's kind of where I think I come. That's where I stand out, is my service, and
For sure.
yeah.
I think Paul's very well respected here in the industry. I met you, I would say, at the start of last year, mid last year.
Yeah.
And we've built a very, very solid connections. We did a few business with my club in terms of giveaways. It was a gold date, which we'd done together. But I think he's a very, very well respected man, and I really like what you're doing. So
Yeah. Likewise, brother.
I'll move to the next question.
Sure.
What are some of the best watches in the current market?
Best one. I'm a big
Or
fan
the
of
hottest watches? Because we know some watches now
Yeah.
come out of the AD, the low market.
True.
Give us your take on what the best watches are in today's.
You made a very interesting comment there, and I think there's something to be said for, although a watch is coming out of the boutique below retail, doesn't necessarily mean that it's
That
a
is the
bad
right
watch.
watch. Oh,
Or the
it's
bad
or
watch.
the watch, yeah.
Right? Because so I've got some watches here which will retail, just as an example, some watches I've got will retail for around $600,000.
Yeah.
But I can sell it to you for $400K. But it's a very, very
And
so that's a $200,000.
take us through, how was that happen? So it comes from an authorized dealer.
Correct.
And then it hits the market, and you've just lost money on your, take us through why that happens on some watches.
Well, I guess in some case, right, it's kind of like whoever's bought it from the boutique, has had to get this because they want to get this.
Okay.
So and I'll use an example. There's a lot of watches, because you know, and I like to use Richard Mille as a good example here, and it applies to all brands. But say there's an end goal for most clients,
Correct.
but you can't have every watch, and there is for most people it doesn't make sense for them to keep hold of a watch which costs $600,000.
Correct. Yeah.
And then buy the next watch. It's kind of like, no, I want this watch, like the end goal, and
So I have to go through,
yeah, and I'll have to take this.
take the bit of hits, and then yeah.
And the end goal usually is something that will sell on the secondary market as a premium. So
Correct. I see.
so they make up for their losses
see,
by
yeah.
taking they take the immediate loss with the end goal.
Also, they build their profile
Exactly. Yeah.
at the boutique, at their preferred boutique, which is, I think, a lot of people's goals is to really build their name in boutiques, and not in just watches. I think you guys do Birkins and Kellys or Hermes. So you know, when you have same thing goes on the fashion brands like the Hermes. You need to build your profile in order to get a nice bag. Sometimes you might buy a bag that's not really worth it or doesn't really have any value, but you need it to get that
because as well,
the next step.
On top of that, there's a lot of clients who just, the same goes for watches and bags, but they know exactly what they want. And the boutiques, like the retail boutiques, particularly Richard Mille, Rolex, they can't just give you exactly what you want because then you won't do any more spending with them.
Correct. Yeah.
So you've got to go through the ranks essentially and to show that you are a collector, because these brands, they do say that they want the people to have these prestigious pieces. They want them to be collectors, and you know, it does make them very rare and sought after. It's not easily accessible. Even if you go through Dubai Mall, although you will just see Richard Milles and Pateks.
Yeah, they're everywhere. Yeah, the boutiques.
There's then another level. There's the Pateks that you never see and the Pateks that everyone wants, which you will not see so easily. Yeah. And they kind of remain with collectors, and they still, you know, like that's important in terms of, well, kind of going back to why we would still stock something that sells below retail is because it's a very good, the watch still might be very good, but it's more appealing to someone when it's reduced from retail, because they might not want to spend $600,000 on this watch, but you're actually getting you are getting a very prestigious watch worth $600,000 for $400K. So it's quite more appealing in terms of, so there's a market and there's a client for everyone.
For sure.
For every watch rather. So
that's very good. Look, if I was, this is a question that I think most people want to know the right answer to, right? Now, if I'm getting into watches and I want to collect a few watches, give me some brands and some models that you think I should start off with.
Okay.
And also, do you think I should be buying watches as an investment or what I like?
Okay.
Should I be buying a watch to make money on it in the future or to store my money? Or should I be buying what I want? This is just coming from someone who's a rookie, who's getting started into the watch market and wants to build their collection.
Okay. So this all kind of depends on your financial situation. The first thing I would say is don't go and spend all the money you have on on a watch, starting a collection. So for me, I would like to say I spend my money quite wisely. When picking watches, I'll quite heavily check the market, and I will you know, compare it to peak market, where retail price was, and the potential future of the model. So great example is this Rolex Daytona.
I love a Daytona.
This is a personal watch. It's never it's never going to be for sale, I don't think. And now the reason I think this is it's probably not your first watch that you would buy.
Preference,
it is an expensive watch to a newbie or a rookie.
Yeah.
But I would say it's a good example of how to spend your money wisely, and I think this is when looking at watches to buy, and if you are looking at it as a potential investment.
Fair enough.
I think it's a good option. Now, I think with regards to whether you should look at watches as an investment in this immediate market, no. And I think if you're looking at, you have to buy this watch today, and in 6 months' time or a year's time, you might have to sell it.
Mm.
Then consider that you will have to lose, because when anyone needs cash fast,
You have to be prepared to
yeah, you're gonna be
for a
taken
quick sell.
advantage of.
But look, it is an option in order to, you know, keep your cash kind of stored.
100%.
And you wouldn't look at it as an investment, but basically you're storing your
100%.
hard-earned money on your, and if any case of
Yeah.
emergency, you know that straight away this watch will sell.
Yeah,
You might lose a few $1,000s, but it'll get you out of whatever situation you're in.
it's possible, and I do think it is a place to park money. And I think when talking about almost the immediate future, it's maybe not something to consider as an investment. Also depends on which watch you buy and at what price you buy it. And that kind of goes back to how I would consider retail price, current market value,
Yeah.
and you know, like they're kind of key elements I would say when choosing if you are buying for an investment purpose. I think they're the kind of key elements of that. And so in some cases, let's say, like so, and I keep going back to the Rolex Daytona, but it's such a good example. So this would have retailed for about $6,000, maybe
Yeah.
something $8,000.
Wow.
So when I bought it, I was like, okay, what's the retail price today of the latest Rolex Daytona?
Okay.
So this is a 116520. It's about 3 generations old. The new reference 126500 is around $17,000 retail. So to buy a Rolex today from retail, it's going to cost you that. I kind of thought, okay, that's kind of where this watch is going to sit around. It's going to be a safe investment.
Yeah.
How is it performing on the secondary market? It sells for around $21,000. Okay, as a watch dealer, I need to buy it safe, and I paid around 17,000.
Okay.
Today I can sell to any dealer for 19,500.
19.5. Yeah.
But if I want to wait and hold it out for a client, I can sell for 21, 23.5. Because it's a very rare watch, it's hard to get, it's discontinued. So there's loads of factors to consider, and there's so much to it. Maybe I'm overcomplicating how you might choose.
Well, you know, I don't think there's just anything to overcomplicate. I think it's good to see an honest opinion from someone who's in the market. You're dealing with it every second day, whether it comes from an AD, whether it comes from the market, your clientele. I think it's good to see, not sort of, you know, I'm not a watch dealer, so, and I'm in the watch market because I give them away through my members, but I'm not dealing with them every day in terms of buying, selling, flipping, what's hot, what's not hot.
Right. Yeah.
But to end this question about the watches and in terms of investment for a personal collector, you know, as you would agree, if I was starting off to buy a watch, the first watch I would get into would be a Rolex.
Sure.
Subconsciously, people would know Rolex straight away.
Yeah.
Because I think different other brands have a certain niche. You know, if I'm thinking about buying my first watch, I don't think I'm going to straight away head to Patek Philippe
I totally agree.
Richard Mille. So
yeah,
if I was to look to buying a Rolex, what are the hottest Rolex models in today's market?
Okay, hottest Rolex models. You can't go wrong with buying steel sports models.
Okay.
So probably in 2024, the most popular was the Bruce Wayne, and it was a new introduction. So it was I think it was introduced end of 2023 or 2024 it was introduced.
2024, yeah.
And so it's although it's very subtle, it looks classy, and it kind of fits a lot of people's needs. So if you can afford to go as a first model, I would probably look at that's a hot watch today. Maybe for the foreseeable, it'd be a good watch too.
Very good. We'll move on to our next question. On that, actually, just came to my mind. Now, gold Rolexes. What are your opinion on gold watches?
It's a tricky situation right now because they've just increased about.
The Rolex did increase. Can you take us through what
I've got the rough percentages.
The rough percentages, yes.
Off the top of my head,
yes.
And the most significant one is, of course, the precious metal Daytona. So retail prices increased 14%.
Wow.
Now that's been because they.
Is that going to affect?
It might not immediately,
the outside
but
market?
for sure it will.
It will.
It will affect, and it'll take some time, but it will affect. And But they say that's because of the price of gold's gone up.
Yeah.
So that's the main reason for the price increase. Obviously, their cost has risen to produce gold watches. So it's about 14% in Rolex Daytona, and then I think if you go down to like steel sports models, it's about 4%. So which I mean,
It's very interesting.
yeah, it is
Very strange
interesting.
from Rolex to come up with those type of
And
price increases.
And I think you made almost a good point here is that what effect will that have on secondary market value? And I think eventually it will. And so that's something to consider is, you know, if the watch that you bought at the end of last year, just before the price increase, you might expect that your watch should be, I always say this, but like your watch should at least hedge against inflation and price increases because of the Rolex and other brands, they usually have 2 price increases per year. So this is kind of a good way of saying, okay, that's what my watch might be worth next year, the year after, and so on.
And is there any rumored discontinued?
I've only
watches
heard
or-
rumors. I've only heard rumors.
You know, this is not the correct
official.
information, but
Yeah,
a few
unofficial.
rumors. You know, maybe someone might have a model that could be discontinued. What are we looking at?
There's been long talks about the Pepsi.
Yeah, I've heard that almost a year ago that the Pepsi was going to be discontinued.
So
Is that because of the difficulty of
the bezel?
creating the bezel?
Right, yeah. So it's called, like, they're saying it's leaking. So you have like the way they've changed the material in order to create the bezel. It's made from a ceramic. It's called Cerachrome. And so the bezel is when they're putting it in the oven, it's leaking. So the color is, they're not getting the correct color they want from the bezel when they're making it. Another rumor is, of course, every year since I've been in watch dealing is the olive day date.
I was just going to say that, yeah.
Every year I hear it, but
You think the time's coming though?
who knows? I honestly have
It's
no.
such an in-demand watch. I feel like
it's the, like, let's say let's say you make it. It's like you've just made it in life. The current watch to buy, like, you know, you've just done your first big deal and whatever you do, you go and buy a day date.
100%.
And you go and buy an olive, you know, and it's such a statement piece, and like I think the time has come, and I think I've been saying this for a few years, bro, but I think it's a matter of time, and I hope it's this year. Yeah.
I think one of the biggest questions in today's video would be the authenticity of some watches.
Okay,
take us through a bit of your history, if you've come across any fakes, any replicas, any super clones. They are making them absolutely almost spotless. Even some watch dealers, even end users are now buying fake watches from wrong sources, claiming that the watch is real.
Right.
Take us through your experience and the process you do yourself to validate and to authenticate the watches that come into your hand before you sell to your clients.
Sure. So we do have an authentication process. Everything I have bought or sold, when it's coming through my hands, I thoroughly check it inside out. I have access. In a good example is, because this is something I would buy and sell often, is Rolex. So I have my watchmaker who's ex-Siddiqui. So for those who don't know, Siddiqui are the authorized dealer of Rolex in Dubai.
I've heard about them, yes.
And so my watchmaker is ex-Siddiqui, and
very well experienced.
Yeah, 30 years in Rolex as a watchmaker. So he opens up everything.
You'd have to open up the watch these days.
Yeah.
From a blind eye, I think it's very...
So there's a term called Frankenstein.
Okay.
And so the external part of the watch can be truly authentic from...
I've heard that some people put like fake parts into a real watch.
You can get like a
movement.
Yeah, and the movement can be very good. There can be Chinese movement. But inside is the movement. Outside is completely authentic. So we thoroughly investigate the watch.
And you've come across any...
I haven't personally in hand.
Okay, very good. Well, thankfully.
Yeah, and I know that because I have checked. And so, and then even further than that, I have access to, you know, like, I don't know how to say this, but I can check,
Determinate straight away.
I can do, there's no, oh, actually, so there's an hour process of, you can check that the dial is born with the watch. So that
Okay.
means that it left the Rolex boutique
With the specific
with this
dial.
configuration.
Okay, okay.
Okay, and
So
so
it's
now,
not changed. There's a lot of dial changes these
yeah,
days, yeah.
dial changes,
Correct.
day changes, bracelet
Everything,
changes.
yeah.
And so I verify everything to make
Beautiful.
sure it's born how I buy it was how it was born. And so I do it like a full authentication check.
Very good.
But yeah, like rightly, like you said, there's a lot of super clones on the market, and the retail client needs to be careful. And to some extent, new dealers and long time watch dealers are also being very careful.
Correct.
Yeah, I think everyone be safe.
Everyone be safe. And look,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, if you're looking to buy a watch, I think Paul is a very good and trusted person. I think you can buy with your eyes closed, knowing that you're going to be safe and you're not going to have this big this issue, which is very big in today's current market. So it's very, very
Yeah, thank you for your kind words.
it's very important that you do buy from the right people,
Sure.
and you make sure you do your research before you do purchase a luxury watch.
Yeah.
Another question would be, what's the best way to negotiate a watch?
Oh, hey,
You know,
that's a good question.
you have a couple of
Be transparent with your dealer. Like, there's going to be a lot of, especially even someone like me. I would say I've seen a lot for my 5 years in the industry, and your dealer knows when you're trying to bullshit them. You know.
yeah.
So,
A lot of people come, let's say, as per example, the watch is 25,000. You'd get some people coming up to you and be like, I'll take it for 21,
Yeah.
just like an unrealistic offer.
yeah.
How do you deal with people like this, and how do you, end up closing the deal so both parties are satisfied?
Well, I think it's important to give good deals, and obviously always try. It depends on the cost. It depends on the current market. And so it kind of just really depends on a case by case basis. But I guess that if you're talking about negotiating,
Everyone negotiates.
look, it's an interesting one because, say, in most cases, the client either really, really knows the market and he knows it inside out. He knows the price. He's checked with every other dealer in Dubai. He's checked with every dealer in the USA. And
It's easier to deal with.
no,
it's more complicated.
It can be a nightmare, like he knows he wants to pay less than your cost, and so, in most cases, better to just be transparent.
Yeah.
And I think if your client's familiar with who you are and they buy from you regularly, they know when you are being transparent.
Very good.
I think, look, we're running this as a business.
Yeah.
It's fair that your dealer does make money, and your client, if he's not fair and doesn't want you to make money, then sometimes you just can't let the deal happen. And in some cases, bro, it's not worth the hassle, and you have to just
Correct. It's more, you'd rather peace than to ruin a relationship or something with, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there's a lot to it, but they're kind of things that I would look. Here's my number one tip for anyone who's going in to negotiate. If you are selling,
Make sure you listen to this.
yeah, if you are selling your watch, if you're selling your watch, don't ask how much you can buy it for first. Just be honest. Tell the dealer that you want to sell your watch and how much they can pay for it. Because when you ask your dealer, like I would say, you want to sell your Rolex Olive, and the client you ask the dealer, how much are you selling for? And you say $50,000.
You're going to be very disappointed.
No, but say what they'll do is they'll do this thing where they're like, I've explained this poorly, but so the client will come in and he'll say, how much can you sell me this for? I say $50,000. And then he goes, how much can you buy it for? So he thinks he's being smart by saying, you're selling it for 50.
And then how much are you going to sell it for?
Yeah,
Or buy it for,
buy it
yes.
for, yeah.
Correct.
So if you're selling your watch, just be honest. Tell the dealer you're selling it.
So, another question is, what's the most expensive watch you've sold?
Okay, so this is an interesting
I
one.
wanted to know this one personally as well.
Okay, yeah. But this is a good one. So this is I sold the Richard Mille RM47 Samurai, and I sold it for 1.8 million US dollars.
Wow.
And that was say, I want to say 2023. It was, yeah, it was 2023, I think, when I sold it. And that was one of the most expensive.
1.8 million USD.
Yeah,
What a deal.
I know. And you know, it's interesting because like I think it was just at a point where it was the market price was a little bit lower, and so I sold at quite a high price, which was definitely a massive achievement for me.
Very well.
So I ticked off
That's
a
amazing.
big box.
1.8.
Yeah,
That's in Australian dollars, I think that would be like 2 point something million. It's crazy for a watch, right? And
Yeah.
and to see that there's people, or to see that you have the clientele to be able to spend that type of money is a great achievement at the same time.
Sure.
So
yeah,
that's insane. You know, 1.8 million on a watch, very well achievement.
yeah. Thank you.
To me, that's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Second question,
Sure.
well, not second question, but second question on this topic. So this is something I wanted to know as well personally. What is your personal favorite watch and why?
Wow, interesting question. I'm a big lover of Richard Mille, and I know you are. I know you love the 6702. Dream watch.
I will buy that one day,
Yeah.
6702.
You know where to come.
100%. I will be buying it from you.
Yeah.
As promised, because we've spoken about it many times. That is my ultimate grail watch.
Yeah.
I hope you've got one.
I haven't actually, no.
In these boxes,
Can't
but
keep a hold of them. They sell like hotcakes, honestly. It's in and out. But I usually do have, or I have almost every month. Last year, at some point, had a 6702 in stock. It's
fastest moving watches for you.
for sure, very fast.
And what are they going for in today's market?
Depending on the year condition, you're looking for, let's say, called the Sebastian Ogier, which is the black with the French flag, the one you like. They're around the 300,000 US dollar mark.
Wow.
Yeah, and so interestingly, so this watch probably peaked close to just over 350,000 US dollars in 2021, whilst most watches have slowly declined.
It's kind of held its...
It also went with it. The 6702 model also dropped, but last year was just it was the craziest, highest demand watch where price increased. So you could probably get a Sebastian Ogier around 265 to 280 in 2023, and towards the end of 2024, you were looking at paying an average of 300 to 330.
Wow.
So it's increased.
It's an insane watch. It's my favorite watch. We'll get into into my favorite watches. But what is your favorite watch, or I would say your dream watch, or kind of the end goal for you to have on your wrist?
I wish I could say my top three, but like
you can give us your top three. You can give us your top three in order.
Okay, from two different brands, my favorite models are the Rolex Daytona, and in Richard Mille, it is the RM27. So that whole series of 27s, which are linked with Rafael Nadal. Rafael Nadal being this massive, huge ambassador for Richard Mille. He's like essentially what a large contribution to Richard Mille being so famous is the association with sports ambassadors. So, but for me, if it's going to be like the end goal is going to be like a 2701, which is about like is around 5 pieces limited, I think. Comes in a white carbon.
Wow.
It's like millimeters in thickness. It's got a super complicated tourbillon movement.
And what's the market price on that?
About $2 million US.
2 million USD.
We're very far away from ever achieving that. It will happen, but
you know, you have to believe. I think you have to believe in yourself, bro. I think the sky's the limit.
I do think, even though it's like, look, to spend $2 million US on a watch, you've got to have some significant wealth behind
you. You do have to have a lot of success.
But at the end of the day, highly appreciated timepiece for me, and it's for sure on Timepiece Crazy's list. I think it's a
I think it'll be achieved for sure. And that's your first watch on the list, right? That's your
That's
number
going
one
to be,
preference.
yeah. And then I would probably go to, say, a Rainbow Daytona
Lovely.
in rose gold.
In rose gold.
Yeah.
And then the third watch?
Oof. It's got to be Patek, right? It's got to,
Has to be. I was waiting for a Patek in your top three, to be honest.
I would go with maybe like something subtle, understated, maybe like a 40th anniversary 5711 in platinum. So that's yeah. If we
I
throw,
think
should we
that's
throw an AP in there?
We've
done the whole list.
We'll make it.
haven't
We'll make
we?
it four. We'll get to four.
Okay.
And when you tell a watch dealer what his favorite watches is, he's never going to give you one or two. He's just, the list is going to go on.
I would, and these are obscene favorite watches in terms of value. But the AP, it's got to be a black ceramic,
Love that watch.
grand complication. So fully skeletonized and full ceramic. It's the most
Super clean.
super top.
Super clean.
Yeah, super. Yeah. So
I
that's
think
my
what I think
narrowed it down there
watch,
for you, I think. But
I think he's put me out of the game on that one. But look, watches all come down to your preference. I think it represents personality. It represents
Sure.
status. Everyone has a different opinion
yeah,
in terms of what they like. You know, someone's top three might not be anywhere near what we would prefer as an individual. But I think my top three would be, top of the list would be the 6702.
nice.
Yep,
Can't go wrong.
100%. It's just, I'm a sucker for smooth, like thin watches. They just sit clean on the wrist, right? Nothing too thick.
Yeah,
My second watch would be a Patek Nautilus 5712
nice.
in rose gold,
Wonderful.
100%.
Timeless.
And then the third or fourth, you know, probably like a day date.
Nice. You've got to have a day date.
You have to have a day date in your
100%.
collection. Hopefully, I'm looking to buy one in the next few weeks or few months.
Wonderful.
Hopefully, which will be absolutely very, very nice. And then between one of my other favorites that sits there with the day date would be the AP, the jumbo,
Jumbo, yeah.
the thin one.
It actually crossed my mind.
You got me onto that. I remember you showed me
Wonderful
a
watch.
photo.
Yeah.
I think that watch is absolutely incredible. Once again, it's a thin
Yeah,
dial.
exactly. Yeah.
So if I can have them four watches in my collection, Richard Mille,
Yeah.
Patek Philippe, a Rolex, and an AP,
Yeah.
I think I would be.
I've got quite an interesting story if he's going to talk about like interesting things and mistakes that happen during, you know, as a professional.
Yep.
And very early on in my career, it was probably the first year for selling watches. And a lot of it, you know, you gotta pay your rent and you gotta pay bills. So one of them is,
Especially starting off, yeah.
and so you're moving watches from right hand to left hand. But what kind of key words in watch dealing which are used as it's gospel? It's like your word is your bond, and one of the things, if a dealer says confirm, you have to stand on. So you have to give it. You have to, like, even if it means that you've given the wrong price, you have to give the watch at a loss. So I was brokering watches, and I was just literally learning models as I go along. And so there was a Royal Oak 15500, which is a 41mm case AP blue dial. And prior to that, sorry, I had offered to sell a 15202 jumbo blue dial. And so the dealer was like, okay, confirm. But because it wasn't my watch, the owner of the watch had sold it. And I was like, I brought him a 15500, and he was like, bro, this is two different watches. Like, this is completely wrong. I've got a client I've got to give this watch to.
And we already agreed a price, and I told my guy, correct.
Yeah. And so, you know.
How was that handled?
I think, you know, being the guy that he was, I think, you know, he understood that I was young, I was new to the game, and I think he let me off. But he was like, look, you need to learn from your mistakes, and you need to learn fast. So, because this is...
Everyone makes mistakes, I think, but if it's a repetitive mistake, then it really will affect you.
Yeah, it's a real business. It's like people are making a living.
It's all based on trust. It's all based on trust and being a man of your word, especially in the watch game.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, if a deal's being done, it's going to be done. It has to be done.
Yeah.
That's very interesting to know.
Yeah.
I think to get towards the end of our video, I've been wanting to see what's inside this box, and I think the viewers want to see what's inside the box at the same time. We will take you guys closer, but for me, what are all these? These are all Richard Milles, right?
This is all Richard Milles. We have 15 pieces here.
Absolutely incredible.
Very rare, very sought after, hot models.
Out of the watches we have here, which
Yeah.
you guys will see in a minute, can you take us through, let's say, let's pick about 4 or 5.
Okay.
Give us the market price, the history behind it, and
Okay.
you know,
Sure.
how long
Yeah.
it takes to offload, or how many of you guys bring in stock,
Okay.
and the rareability of the watch.
Sure. So right now, where to start? Okay, there's a lot of variation here. There's 15 watches inside this case. Okay. Typically, how long I would expect to hold on to a watch. Honestly, very hard to predict, but I try to buy stock as best as I can, which will, you know, I think when I buy watches, I have a client in mind. So a lot of the watches I have here, I try to buy at a good price in order to give my clients a good deal. So I think although it's not the most expensive watch, I think it's one of the most interesting, is this RM29. This is kind of a thinner watch in terms of Richard Mille, although maybe viewers will think it's possibly quite big still. This is a titanium model. It is also a piece unique. It means it's only one piece that exists in the world. Yeah.
Wow.
It's entirely unique, and the reason it's unique is because it was made for Johan Blake. Johan Blake is a sports ambassador for Richard Mille. He is
A one-of-one, guys.
Yeah.
You won't be seeing this the type of watches anywhere else.
No, for sure. If it's entirely unique, it's only
It's
here.
incredible.
There's a little history behind it. Is Johan Blake had it made. So for those who don't know, Johan Blake's the Jamaican sprinter. He's in the Jamaican Olympics team. He's a silver medalist, but he also has a series of models like the 6101. He's a massive name in Richard Mille, and it's but he made this for his charity. So this was made. It went for charity. It went to auction. The money is donated to charity.
And now it's in here in the box.
Trickled down and ended up here. You know.
That's incredible.
In terms of Richard Mille, like it's a well-priced watch, and you get something very unique.
What's the price of that one?
$200,000 US.
Okay.
So it's almost considered entry level to buy something
For an
from a
RM.
boutique.
Yep.
It would cost you about 200K approximately.
Okay.
Here or thereabouts. And something else interesting I would go with, obviously, I think this is a good one. This is the 1103 McLaren.
McLaren.
This was made in collaboration with the Senna. So as you can see, the strap is also like the vent on the car. So it has like the hood of the car. It's got the vents on the strap. It's 500 pieces limited. I think the Senna also 500 pieces.
I don't know if you guys can see from here, but we will show close-ups. But these watches, having them in hand is absolutely incredible. The configuration, the detail from the back of the clasp and the front.
Yes,
it's truly unique.
Yeah, so it's in orange carbon, so it's like.
And you can change.
You can change the strap.
Right?
That's kind of the beauty of the watch. And
is that on every RM you can change?
All Richard Mille you can change the straps. Okay. Yeah, you're limited to some models, but like, so for example, this is an 1103. This is also an 1103.
Okay, but in a green, yeah.
And so the straps are, there's a series of colours that you can change.
Very nice.
Very sought after model, very rare. 500 pieces sounds like a lot.
And the price of that one?
Well, interestingly, this probably peaked around $500,000, $550,000, $600,000, and it's now $350,000. And although it's dropped, it doesn't mean there's like, it's a bad watch. It's still maybe 3 times retail. So retail price would have been about $130,000, $150,000. It's 3 times retail still. So
look, knowing from what I can see, obviously my favorite watch is the 6702, and I can just see a rubber strap.
Okay.
Somewhere there. In pink. You take us through.
Okay.
This looks unique.
We touched on it. So this
only because it's got a similar strap. So take us through this one.
This is the Rafael Nadal 3501. It's discontinued, so they do not make this watch anymore. It is
Wow.
not even automatic.
Is that women's or is it
No, it's
unisex?
men's.
Oh, men's.
Yeah, so
Okay.
this is what Rafael Nadal was wearing. This would have been what he wore alongside the 27s, but this would have
Wow.
been what he wears to play tennis in. Not his
Super
only, not his own watch, but
Super light.
this
The model.
super
Yeah.
super light. So this made of full carbon TPT.
I can't even, don't
Yeah.
even feel like anything's in my hand.
And so traditionally we're so
you can
used
see
to
it there.
yeah.
Rafa.
Traditionally we're just so used to buying watches on the basis of precious metal. And Richard Mille have completely changed the game for, right, perfect example, we have these two watches are the same, right?
The same, yeah.
And Richard Mille have like changed how we think about watches in terms of you're no longer paying for the gold. The carbon is more expensive than the gold.
Strange.
It's very, well, and because Richard Mille owners, they want a watch that they can wear, very lightweight,
Lightweight, yeah.
functional.
Yeah.
It's very heavily associated with sports, and so is carbon, and really high quality carbon. So it's
At the end of the day, it's as I would say, not specifically, but it's a sports watch, right?
it is a sports
You
watch.
know, RM, they claim their slogan as a racing machine on the wrist, right?
Yeah,
That's why they're very specific on who they sponsor as
Correct.
athletes, tennis players, Formula One drivers. We just seen Lewis Hamilton transfer to Ferrari, and he was wearing the unique 6702 Ferrari model.
yeah, the Italy.
Oh,
Yeah, very cool.
what a watch.
Yeah,
I think I'm talking too much about the 6702 here. I'm just trying to manifest that watch into existence. But that's another special watch.
for sure.
And, you know, not everyone is wearing a Richard Mille. You know,
No.
it's certain people, certain individuals.
Yeah,
You have to be kind of at a stage in your life where you can comfortably afford this.
Sure.
Yeah, it's very, very amazing. One more watch that we can go through.
I think.
If I can pick something.
Okay.
What do you have in mind that you're gonna pull out?
I mean, what grabbing your attention? I suppose you picked out the Rafael. Maybe I can pick one out.
Yes.
Okay. Well, seeing as I've got doubles in some cases here, I'll pick out the two most expensive doubles. This is another McLaren. Richard Mille heavily
McLaren.
associated with McLaren, and we have, you can hold one. I'll get the other one out.
Well,
This is the McLaren Speedtail. So it was made alongside the
what's
McLaren
this made out of?
titanium and carbon.
Very light.
Very light. And it's got a tourbillon movement inside, which means it's very accurate in keeping time. So, and we have two pieces.
Wow.
106 pieces limited. It was made alongside the McLaren Speedtail car. Also 106 cars only made.
It's absolutely stunning.
And the interesting thing about this is that you had to, in order to get allocated this watch, you had to buy the car. So the car would cost around $3 million US. So you had to buy the car
To get allocated for this.
to get allocation for this. So then this costs $1 million. So overall it costs you about $4 million US
Wow.
to get it.
Wow.
Um,
Some of these pieces in this box is incredible. Not, you know, someone in a normal day-to-day life would be seeing. You know, we call this, you know, out of the locker, out of the back locker. So,
okay.
you know, when I come and visit Paul, he's usually always got amazing watches stored at the back that he doesn't usually bring out most times, but I've made him bring out some of his best collections here in Dubai. So absolutely incredible, man. You know, these watches, your experience, I think this video proved that, you know, Paul, aka Timepiece Crazy on Instagram, make sure you guys go and follow him. He shows us the background, the history of the market, the absolute beast of a clientele that you have, and it's incredible. So
Yeah,
I
thank you very much,
appreciate your time in making this video for us and giving us your experience and your history in the watch market. And yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, bro.
Thank you very much, bro.
I appreciate your time, and I think that's it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If there's any questions, make sure you follow Paul on Instagram, Timepiece Crazy. Answer any questions you want. If you're in the market for a watch, if you are a client looking for a watch like this, He is the go-to man for all the best watches and the most high-end watches in the market. That's it for now. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you at the next video.